What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about something interesting in the world of car buying, technology, how it all sort of might work to the consumer's advantage finally. We know how dealerships operate. Car buying is one of the worst experiences there can be sometimes. But let's take a look at something that happened to me personally when I started using ChatGPT when I was negotiating buying a car. I didn't buy the car. But first, let's hop in the Cherokee, go for a quick ride, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. You can never start a ride off without having to stop and get gas, especially if you have an old Jeep. Well, how about that? A little bit of Pennsylvania winter for you. So I was originally planning on going up to one of my favorite spots, which is up on top of a mountain, Pennsylvania mountain, you know, about I don't know, 1,400 feet compared to like 100 feet of elevation where I live. So it is technically up a mountain. For this area anyway, and hit quite a bit of snow here. So before I go any higher on the non-maintained roads, I'm gonna stop here, which is about 10% of the way up, and I think I'll just go back to the house and we'll regroup and talk a little bit more about this AI and car buying experience. And just like that, we're back at the house. Now, what a difference elevation makes, right? As you can see, the snow melted off the Jeep. The Jeep is still wet. But look outside. Not a single flake of snow. All right, let's finally get to this discussion. All right, so we're back home, and the question is AI and the car buying experience. AI programs such as ChatGPT. I know that Google has one now, and there's one called, if I can find it, I'm looking at my phone. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, there's one on my phone too that's a software that got pushed onto my phone. Regardless, AI is a hot topic. So I didn't really plan on making this video, but it was something that really sparked an interest of how AI could transform the car buying experience. And this works on the consumer end and the dealership end. How is it going to impact people buying cars? Will people be more educated? Can you trust AI? Can the dealerships still find little nuances to make their money without being upfront in presenting the best deal to the consumer? So I think it's a really complex issue, but I want to share my experience in how I utilized AI to analyze a deal and tell me whether it was a good deal or not. And I will share all the results with you. A little background information here. I was looking at leasing, which I know lease versus purchase, there's a big difference, okay? I was looking at leasing a 2025 leftover. It was new. It was a leftover Jeep Gladiator High Tide. The High Tide is like a limited edition package with a really fancy interior on a Jeep Gladiator Sport chassis, but they add the Willys suspension. So it's a step above the Gladiator Sport, but a step below the Willys, because it doesn't have locking differentials, it doesn't have the electronic track bar release, things like that. But it does give you Dana 44s front and rear, the Willys suspension, and completely upgraded interior. So regardless, let's get into this, okay? I am using my phone because I will read you my interaction with an AI program to sort of analyze this deal, okay? So the first thing I was asking AI was like, what is the true market value and invoice price of a 2025 Jeep Gladiator High Tide? It gave me some information. This was before I decided whether I wanted to purchase or lease. So then I told it, I would like to lease one for 10,000 miles per year, 36 months. I'm willing to put 1,000 down. Now, this is where my lack of knowledge was key, okay? I said I was willing to put 1,000 down, and I asked AI what would be a good deal. What should I try to get for a good lease payment, okay? So it gave me some numbers. It said, well, the typical is going to be $517 per month. Independent lease brokers $449 a month for 48 months with 0 down. But with a 36-month term, you're going to pay more. Residual values, how it affects it, what would be a good lease deal. It told me my target payment range should be $380 to $420 per month. Typical realistic target $450 to $550 per month. Deals to avoid, anything over $600 per month, okay? So then it gives you tips on how to negotiate a stronger lease. Then it gives you an example of a target quote to ask for. I'd like a 36-month lease on a 2025 Gladiator High Tide, 10,000 miles per year with $1,000 down. Please show me negotiated cap cost off MSRP. Cap cost in the lease world is what the sale price is. Residual and money factor, total due at signing, fees, taxes separate, and all rebate and incentives applied. Okay, so AI says if they can get the cap cost 7 to 10% under MSRP, residual 62 to 64%, you should be able to target $400 to $500 per month pre-tax. And then it gives you a summary. Good target versus realistic. I said, and this is based off of the dealership's website, which again I will share, the current price with incentives is about $37,000. I don't qualify for 2 of the rebates, so the price would be around $38,000. There is tax title tags, and I provided my zip code. So it gave me a whole bunch more information. Long story short, it told me an aggressive target is $400 to $450 per month with a realistic expectation $460 to $540 per month. Again, it tells you what to ask the dealer for, some quick takeaways, saying with that $38,000 cap cost and $1,000 down payment, an excellent deal would be $400 to $450. Okay. So then it discussed credit score. Now, my credit score is 850. That is exactly what the dealership told me when they ran my credit. I filled out a credit application. They ran it. 850 is my credit score, and I'm very proud of that. So the AI program I used says with my credit score, I should have, with my credit score, they will give me a reasonable estimated lease payment. And going through estimated monthly payment with tax, $460 to $530, tax included. What should I target? I should target a pre-tax payment of $375 to $420 and a total payment with tax $460 to $500. If they quote above $530 with the $38,000 cap cost, push back. Ask them to see money factor, which is like the interest rate, the residual percentage, and a full lease worksheet with all of the fees broken down. It provides tips on looking for a better lease, and it gives a quick summary. Now, throughout this, I'm starting to learn things. I'm starting to learn more about cap cost. I'm starting to learn more about if you're willing to give them a down payment, they're going to take that to their advantage, and they're not going to reduce the MSRP because you're willing to put money down. You are giving them a cap cost reduction. Therefore, they don't really feel the need to take any money off MSRP because your down payment is doing that for them. They can, but they won't if you're voluntarily giving them your money, okay? Now, they had sent me a paper, and the paper was the deal. And I asked this AI program, does this look like a good deal? Obviously, it started giving me a bunch of information before I could upload the paper. When I uploaded the paper, it said, now that I can see the worksheet, I can give you a clear verdict. The short answer, this is not a good lease deal for you, especially with your 850 or 800 credit score. I told the AI program it was 800. That was, I had this discussion with the AI program before the dealer told me it was 850. Regardless, it's a tier 1 credit score, so we'll just put it that way. I'm not subprime, I'm tier 1. So it said, this is not a good deal for you because of your credit score and the advertised price versus what they had as their cap cost. It said it is overpriced by $80 to $130 per month. Let me show you why. And it proceeds to tell me the MSRP, the sales price, the savings, doc fees, gov fees, acquisition fees, gross cap cost, net cap cost, okay? The lease structure was different. The lease structure was 39 months, not 36. Biggest red flags, they did not honor the $38,000 price that I expected because I based it off of the price on their website. The cap cost was around 38. Their cap cost was 46. That's $8,000 difference. The 39-month term versus a 36-month term. It uses a worse residual. It extends the warranty risk because you're out of the 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Bottom line, the payment is far too high for this particular truck. I should be around $380 to $430 per month with tax included. Maybe $440 a month if the money factor rate is mediocre, which again is like your interest rate. They're quoting $485 to $503 per month. That's $3,000 to $4,500 too much over the lease term. It gives you some information, what you can say to the dealer regarding the difference in price, why online it says 38, why their paperwork says 45, 46. The money factor that they use doesn't match with my credit rating, which is a tier 1 credit rating, because the AI program can calculate that. If you give them if you give the AI program that whole worksheet, they will figure out the money factor themselves. They'll be able to calculate it based off of those figures. So then I said, okay, well, ignore the 38,000 I originally said. Okay, so basically I'm telling the AI program, ignore what I said, go off of their sheet. Okay, is it a good deal based off of their worksheet? And the AI program said no. It is still not a good lease deal. It's mediocre and weak for someone with an 800 credit score. Again, I told the AI program it was 800. It's really 850. Doesn't matter. It's tier 1 credit. Okay. So then it evaluates it and it says, first thing, is the selling price reasonable? The selling price is okay, but not aggressive. Gladiators should be 10 to 12% off MSRP now. And this was just a couple days ago. Okay. It's currently January 11th today. Yes, January 11th today. This was January 8th when I was working with this AI program. Okay. Is the selling price reasonable? It should be 10 to 12% off MSRP. This says 8.6. So they can take more money off of the sales price, off the selling price. Is the lease structure good? Jeep is almost always favorable to have 36 months, not 39. 39 uses a lower residual, which is the value of the vehicle beyond the lease. And that alone can cost $25 to $40 more per month versus a clean 36-month lease. Money factor is almost certainly marked up. They do not disclose the money factor, but we can infer it. This is the AI program. It takes the net cap, the residual, the payment, and it calculated it to a 10.3 to 11% APR. Money factor is done as a decimal, so it was 0.0043 to 0.0046. And that gives you your 10.3 to 11% APR. For an 800 credit score, that is way too high. I should be closer to the 0.0027, 0.0033 money factor range. So this is obviously a dealer markup. They are marking up that money factor because they will get money, okay? So then it said, what would a fair payment be using their numbers? A fair payment would be $430 to $455 with tax. That would be total payment per month. And they quoted $485 to $503. So it's still $40 to $70 per month too high, which is $1,500 to $2,700 over the lease term throughout the 39 months. Okay. So the verdict on their first quote is the vehicle price fair, residual normal. Term is poor, money factor is marked up, payment is too high, and overall it is not a good lease. The bottom line, accepting their cap cost, the deal uses a longer term, hides a money factor, results in a payment that is clearly above market for my credit tier. This is not a good lease deal. What to do next? It prompts you with some questions. I told the AI program I want a 36-month lease, $1,000 down payment, tier 1 numbers. So AI says a lot. Recalculating. All right. So what they're saying, they ran this whole analysis, which is a lot of money, including a lot of figures, including depreciation, all kinds of stuff. It's telling us that even with tier 1 money factor, 36 months, lease cash applied, and reasonable residual, a $45,000 Jeep Gladiator does not lease well. And because it does not lease well, that is why Jeep dealerships extend it to 39 months, because they know it doesn't lease well. When they do that, it spreads the payment over 3 additional months. They also mark up the money factor and they advertise unrealistic payments. If you see a low lease payment on a website, it will usually say requires like a 10 to 20% down payment. So you're looking at $5,000 that you have to pay out of your own pocket to initiate a lease deal to get a payment like that. And that's a huge risk for other reasons. Once you put that money in, you're giving them that cap cost reduction. You're saying, here, take my money instead of you taking money off of the price of the Jeep. Use my money to reduce the price. Then they don't have to negotiate anything. They just say, oh, okay, yep, you gave us this. Great, here's your deal. When they clearly can mark that price down even more before you even give them a down payment, but they won't. Okay. So it gives some information about what's good, and I said I'm confused. Why is the program saying this and this? So the AI program goes on and gives tables and graphs and all kinds of stuff. Long story short, I asked it to show the 39 months and different ways to get the payment down. How can I get a lower payment? Um, and the short answer to get a lower monthly lease payment was to do at least two of these three things: lower the cap cost, a 39-month term, which was already part of the lease deal, and a tier 1 money factor with no markup. Okay, so the 39 months is one. You would need to do two of the three: lower the cap cost and get a tier 1 money factor, no markup. They're in control of the money factor. I'm not. I can't do anything about that. Lowering the cap cost would mean either I have to give more money as a down payment to reduce the cap cost, which is a cap reduction, or they have to take money off the sales price. Do you think they're going to do that? Probably not. So basically what happened was I gave them the final numbers, okay? The final numbers that they gave me, I put it in the AI program, and here's what it told me, okay? Bottom line, this is a solid lease deal, meaning yes, this is a solid lease deal. It is not a unicorn, but it is a fair to good deal. And with one small tweak, I could reliably be below the payment I wanted. I wanted to be below $450 per month. Okay, that's where I wanted to be. The AI program says that I am not being ripped off. The dealer is not padding the rate, the money factor. My money factor rate actually ended up being 0.00039. That was my money factor rate, which equates to 0.94% APR. So with my credit rating, less than 1% interest rate. So it says, let's break it down simply. The money factor was excellent. It is a true tier 1 rate. There is no markup. This is as good as it gets. Where the potential issue is just the price, okay? They could come down on the sales price. It is a 2025 leftover. It is now 2026, okay? And the AI program says, is this a good deal? It is, but it could be better, okay? The AI program rated the deal a 7.5 out of 10. So when the dealer and the salespeople are saying, this is the best rate you'll ever get, this is the best deal you'll get, this is the lowest price, we can guarantee you that, they're salespeople. They're going to tell you what you want to hear, right? Because they want to sell a vehicle. That's how they get paid. That's what they're in the business of doing, okay? My salesperson was good, but at the same time, he did use some of that language, like, this is the best deal you'll get, this is the best deal you'll get, this is the best price, you'll never see a deal like this anywhere else. But the advantage of the AI program is it analyzes data worldwide, nationwide. It has so much data that it can analyze and truly tell you if it's a good deal or not. And that's the advantage of running this through an AI program, running their deal through an AI program and saying, is this good? Can I do better? And it will compare all the data. A lot of places it will even tell you the dealership where they got some of the data. The accuracy and the validity is questionable. And you have to think that with artificial intelligence. You have to think that with AI programs. It might not be 100% accurate. And they fully disclose that on every AI program I've ever looked at. You're responsible for verifying. So it rated at 7.5 out of 10. it said to get my payment lower, I would have to increase my down payment, which I did not want to do, because why should I just give them money when they could take more money off the sales price? Yeah. Final verdict was, if the dealership comes down in price even just a little, the deal becomes a very good deal. Otherwise, it's a fair deal. Okay, the final verdict, the money factor based on my credit is excellent. The lease math is correct. The payment target achievable. That means my target is 100% achievable within the parameters of that particular vehicle. The dealer behavior was marked as fair. Again, because they want me to give more of my own money to bring that monthly price down when they could reduce the sales price. So, what does this mean for the car buying experience? I can tell you what it means. You're going to have well-informed buyers. You will have buyers sitting at the desk in a dealership, running the numbers through an AI program and determining just how good the deal is. How will the dealership respond? Okay. My deal that I decided not to take was done through the phone. It was done through email. I never stepped foot in the dealership. Could it mean that dealerships stop quoting over the phone? They stop sending papers through email for you to review, worksheets and numbers? Potentially. Does it also mean that dealerships have to be more accountable for the accuracy of their pricing, and when they use terms such as "this is the best deal you'll find"? I think there is a measure of accountability that has to come into play. So the world of AI in car buying is going to prove to be very interesting over time. And I don't know. I'm thankful that I decided to do that. And I decided not to buy or lease. I'm sorry, I decided not to lease the 2025 Gladiator. I don't begrudge dealerships for making money. They're a business. They're there to make money. What I don't like is how they push to say this is the best deal ever. You won't find a deal like this anywhere else. Well, you're wrong. You're wrong. So it's that little bit of mistrust then that I have when they try to use those sales tactics, when you know for a fact that you can get a better deal elsewhere, or even a similar deal that may only be $5 less per month. But guess what? That's a better deal. It's $5 less per month, right? So it's not the best deal you will ever find. I digress. So tell me what you think. Put it in the comments. Do you think artificial intelligence will change the car buying experience? Do you think it will improve the car buying experience? Do you think consumers are going to be better educated and a little more leery of some of the deals and worksheets that dealerships present? Deep down, I do. I really do. I think it's going to change the car buying experience over time. So that's what I got. That was my experience. I did not lease the vehicle. I do not have a new vehicle out in the garage. And with that said, we'll see you guys in the next one. If you haven't done so, if you feel like hitting that subscribe button, we'd really appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you don't click the bell, then you don't get notified of new videos, and it doesn't ever bother you again. So that's a free way to support the channel. Give us a like, click the subscribe button, and we'll see you all at the next video. Take care, be healthy. Hope 2026 is going great for you so far, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.